being held on February 24th, 2025. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And it is a budget work session. And we're going to start off this evening. We have the old tracker sheet. I think Clint's going to put that up on the screen. And we have the new tracker sheet. And Susan's going to go over the old one to show you that what we talked about last week is on the old one. She didn't take it or anything off on her new sheet. She just added some other stuff to it.
Right. So really the first 3/4 of the page are almost identical. So, Ray, are you there? Did you want to chime in at all, or do you want me to march us forward?
So far, you're doing a great job.
Okay, I can continue. But if I mess up, you let me know, okay?
I will.
Okay. So we, of course, are very appreciative that the board has recognized the need for another nurse at the middle school. It's really a very busy nurse's office and requires that nurse to be there full time. So that $70,000 is right up at the top. We are also very appreciative that the board has recognized that the 5 tutors have been added to the budget. Whether we get a grant or not, if I can add to it, that'll be awesome, and I'll work on that. But we do have the funding in there for those tutors.
Now, on one sheet it says 2 remedial instructors or 5 tutors. And then on your sheet, you have this 5 tutors.
So we had discussed that as a staff and with the principals, and they were really feeling, especially at the elementary level, since we do have 5 elementary schools, that's where the first priority would be, to have the tutors. And the tutors then can report to the interventionist or the specialist. And that system has worked for us really well over the past several years, the past 11 years that I've been here.
So how does the, go ahead, Matt.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Were they looking at math or ELA? Did they give any indication?
Well, we do have ELA interventionist and specialist. In math, we only have a math specialist in each school. So I think if I were to ask the principals, they probably would say the need is in math. So I think we should get closer to where the schools and ask the principals in the schools what they think. But
You'll get back to us once.
But I'll get back. If I happen to get a DODEA where I get the 5 for the math, then we can shift gears and maybe even look at the middle school and the high school.
Okay. Are you comfortable with the change from the 2 remedial instruction or 5 tutors? Now it says 5 tutors. So
And
that's a change.
Typically, our tutors are oftentimes retired teachers, so we tend to get a lot of good expertise in
Adrian?
that area.
Yeah, I would personally like to leave it as this, and also put in what function code it will go into is to 1270. That way, I think we should, for now, we should leave it as remedial instruction or tutors in a dollar amount. And I don't think we need to say 2 or 5 because, like if we look at CK, they have the same number of staff as Northeast Academy for remedial, and I think the need there is much more. So maybe CK chooses to add a staff member where, and then we can use the balance for tutors somewhere else. So I would personally like to see that just say remedial instruction or tutors. Take out the DODEA thing and then put that it goes into 1270 so we can keep track of these positions. And then there was.
Wait 1 second. That's what you want, but let's see what the other board members want. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I finish talking?
No. Wait 1 second. So how do you all feel about which one? Ian?
I'm in support of that approach.
Okay, keeping it. What about you,
And
Jen?
function 1270.
I'm neutral. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Matthew.
Okay, I'm okay.
Okay. Andrea.
I would say that whatever the principals think, that's what I would go with, but I would support it. I'm sorry, Adrian. But
Dean.
I'm agnostic.
Dean. Okay. All right, go ahead.
All right, and the other thing I was going to say is that way, like Ian had the idea of trying to put some language and tracking behind this support to see how successful it is. So if we do, and this can be discussed later, but if we have these specific positions called out, we can, bring that up later. We have more time to talk about it.
Okay.
Bev?
Go ahead.
Just to build on that, yeah, I want to thank Adrian for bringing that up, but yeah, whatever we spend the money on, we should declare that position and then create the data tracking system that can be respectful of privacy concerns, but also be able to manage, to track growth of the students so that we can demonstrate the validity of investing money in this way.
All right. Go ahead. Jay or Mike, you have anything you want to add?
None for me.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
I support Adrian's proposal.
Okay. All right. Well, that was on our original sheet. Susan took it off for hers.
Well, I understand remedial is related to the tutors, but we'll take off the numbers so that we can make it a little more flexible based on the needs.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Adrian, like your thought, I'm a little confused now. Like you wanted to have some specificity to it, right?
On these positions?
Yeah.
Just if they're, well,
Or like have it
it would
reported.
be, I think we had talked about it, it's for elementary remedial.
Right.
Was that everyone's understanding and talking about this?
The code is 1270.
Yeah, and that will be put in function 1270, so it just doesn't get lost in a line item.
Okay. Got it. Yep.
So I'm writing this down.
So, yeah, I guess elementary can be a detail if everyone else, I think that was the focus of the discussion.
Right. And whatever is chosen, like you're saying that right now the principals are leaning towards 5 tutors as the better expenditure of money?
Well, yeah, fairsy squaresy,
Yeah.
thinking. But we can look at it in different ways. We
Well,
can work together.
Again, like whatever the decision
Yeah,
is ultimately,
right.
just identify it, report it, and then like find a way to track the data the best we can so we can demonstrate.
Okay. We're doing that also with all of our DODIAs. We just haven't had time to talk about teaching and learning, but we will, and data
Right.
collection. And then the $64,000 was actually on the wish list for 2 principals to have another special ed teacher. I had explained that we do review caseloads 3 times a year, and we really want those balanced so that, they're not too big any particular place. But right now, we see the need at Thames River and Mystic River, but we'll continue to do that. But that will really help support special education. And then we have negotiations, the contingency, which really the total amount is $350. We had the $120 in there, remember? So when you, or $102 something, Ray, you probably have the exact number. But with this $247, that will give us $350 in contingency.
Correct.
As we talked about, we looked at the IT budget, and Clint was able to prioritize, like in a 3-year plan, and so he was able to remove $51,100. Health benefits, this was Ray's good work, looking at $200,000 for the health benefit addition to just make sure that we had enough in the budget. We got the word from the town that we needed to add $240,000 for workman's comp and $55,000 for fuel adjustment, $200,000 for electricity, and then the FTE realignment from Lori Lapine gave us back $137,484. That gets us through 212. Another 212 recommendation was $100,000 out of the classroom supplies across the district. And then I think around the 21st, was that the last, I don't know if it was the 20th or 21st. We've written down the 21st. The $64,000 for the social worker at CB and NEA. They're the only 2 schools that don't have that for the general population. So that seemed to be really important to this board, and it's certainly important to me, so I appreciate your support in that. Now, I had Matt call and talk to our career counselor, who's at Fitch, and they actually had a wonderful discussion, and she said she's not really ready for full-time, but what she can do is give us additional time, so she can have more time with the students, and it could be, we talked to Lori Lapine about how we would do this, and we can do it in the funding at a C schedule, so the additional time could be marked, in with the C schedule, and we can, work out a plan for that. So it wouldn't be necessarily 4/10, but we could absolutely use some sub-pay for that, so that she can give the kids more time. So that's what her suggestion was. And when she's ready, because it's going to be very hard to find a .4 counselor. You just won't find it. Anybody who comes here will want full-time. So Jen wants to talk about that.
Go ahead, Jen.
Remember I mentioned, like, we need to do what's best for the kids. So, and I applaud, like, work-life balance, right? But if we really need one, maybe we need to invest in one. And then we have 1.5.
The one that is here, she's actually 0.6, and she is an amazing teacher, and she would not lose her job because of this.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, maybe we need to have one, like, invest
Well, why don't we
one.
see how this will work with her schedule, and then we
Yep.
can determine if the kids are receiving, and maybe the following year we can do something like that. I would just say right now, with things as tight as they are, I thought this was a really nice option for her to,
It's
offer.
nice, yeah, nice for her, but not maybe for the kids.
Is a full-time career counselor something that the principal will?
No, he said, he just appreciates every bit of time, but he was the one who worked with her and said this would really help because she can do some things on her computer, aside, and
Yeah.
then when she's here and give more time in the classroom or in the school, she's always with the kids. So I
Okay.
think that was a really
So it
good
might
solution.
balance out, so.
It will
Okay.
balance out, so we're going to get more of her for kids.
Okay.
Matthew?
Would it be more time with the same kids, or would it be adding the equivalent to .2 new kids?
Well, she works with really all the juniors and seniors. I don't know how she gets it done, but she
Yeah,
does
that's
work.
why
You can get it done. I mean,
Right.
I'm not talking about the person, I'm talking about the workload. I don't know that one person can get it all
She
done,
pretty
let alone
much-
.6.
When I talk to the kids, when we have our focus groups with the kids, she is one of their champions, and they always say she is very responsive to their needs, and they do get to see her. So she finds time. I think this will give her more time, though. So,
Just a quick question, as far as, could you just explain the Schedule C, where that funding's coming
Schedule
from?
C is if someone has basically worked beyond their time frame, they get a Schedule C, and that's built into the principal's budget so that they have, for all kinds of, overtime, like if a secretary works overtime or if a staff member does additional duties, so it's part of the budget, the Schedule C. It's kind of like the overtime
Right.
budget.
And there's accounting for that we can track to see, like,
Yep.
okay, so, because
I
I
think you
do,
might even find it in the codes. You'll find it in the budget book too.
Okay.
The OT.
very good, because, yeah, I would align my comments with Jen's as far as, like, we definitely need to focus on the students' needs first, and just making sure that they have access as readily as needed to a career counselor, whether it's two half-timers or however we arrange that. But if there's a way to allow her to expand her hours for now to kind of like flex and provide extra coverage for the students in this transitional year, I guess that'll work out fine for now, but I definitely do think that we should look at how to do it full-time.
So we also
However we
have
can do that.
people getting paid a stipend for career pathways, and the career program Chelsea Courtright was afforded through the Congressman Courtney, and there's still funding for her to continue some of that work, and she is the chair of the guidance department. So I would say every single counselor, we used to call it college ready, but really it's college and career and should be. So they are working with kids, whether they're college, bound or whether they're career bound. They're working with the kids on their caseload in both cases. But I think the career center is kind of specialized in really those internships. But Chelsea Courtright has done that. She's done internships with the boat program, and she's really on top of a lot of that work too. So I think we're really expanding. Instead of just for one person, we're expanding it through the whole counseling department.
Okay.
Is what the goal is for me. So they're all part of this. So, I mean, if you want to switch over to the other form, you can see that it's really identical here, except for we did take out that 25.6 since it's in the budget in another place for overtime, for her to expand her time. So is this,
This is yours.
Clint?
Clint and I traded out.
Oh,
I've got control.
oh, okay, good.
And I got
So
the
Is this
two-tab
the one that
document.
says the 221?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Where do you want to be?
Just at the top again, just to show everybody that it's the same tracker, it's just been copied over, and nothing has changed all the way through 221.
Yep.
So I'm confused. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, the extra 4/10 that we've been talking about, we budgeted on the 20th for 25.6. It's not on the budget for the tracker you updated. I'm confused as to what's happened to that.
So there is overtime in the principal's budget that's used for all kinds of overtime, whether it's secretarial, whether it's staff, whether it's, so he will use his budget for what we call the C schedule to write off the extra time that she has to do.
So where I was going with this is if we've taken $25,600 out of the principal's overtime budget to fund this, what's the opportunity cost of what that money could have been used
Well,
for?
he sets aside what he just predicts, and it kind of works out each year the same way. So,
Okay,
I mean, he doesn't think that it's going to be that much of an added expense.
okay. Will we get some feedback on the actual amount of student contact time, say, 3 months into the year?
Yeah, we can do that.
That last year, in 24, 25, in the first 3 months, that counselor had X number of contact hours, and in 25, 26, for the same 3 months, we had Y number of contact hours, because I'm really concerned, A, about the number of contact hours, and B, trying to multiply the reach of the time that we have for students.
Is this for all guidance counselors, including the career counselor?
That's not the way I framed it. That's worth discussion if you want, but that's not, I was framing it at this particular investment.
The career counselor?
We as a group said we wanted to increase the reach by 4/10 of a person.
You're talking about the career counselor.
I'm talking about the career counselor, yes.
I can certainly talk to her about that and even check in with her periodically through the year. Is this enough?
Yeah, and we'll find out, I think after 3 months, whether we need to readjust
Right.
or not.
Yeah. I'd be in support of that approach as well, to track the data.
So, Ian, we can switch back over to yours and just finish up the page and then kind of show the changes that were made. I can talk about them and then we can look at them. So you see that the $15,000 that was deducted from 2120, and it was object 104. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, function 2210, yeah.
Yeah,
Object 101.
improvement of instruction.
Yeah, improvement of instruction, and that was Anne Marie, I think, your support helping me figure that out. And then there was also the travel with 584, and we figured we could reduce that at 5,000. Under my budget, 331, we did find 10,000 that we could reduce. And then we had talked about the 115 was your goal, but when I looked at it, I was able to look at the even in my piece, to remove, I think, a 35 and a 35,000 to make, or let me see, 40 and 35 to make the 75 in reductions. But I could not go all the way up to 115.
Question on that.
Go ahead.
So when we left it last Thursday, I was under the understanding that you and Ray were going to work with Adrian to to confirm his math on that number that he came up with.
I was understanding that I was to go back and look at those categories that belong to Anne Marie and I and the district, and we actually worked as a team to figure that out.
I know I had specifically asked to engage Adrian as well because I thought it would be more productive for us as a group if there was board engagement in that process.
Ray, did you see Adrian's numbers?
We
I didn't
saw
ask her to do
it,
that.
Okay.
his numbers and our numbers actually jive throughout the whole thing. The problem is if we took it down another $40,000, you might as well just shut your administration down. You're not going to do anything other than get paid.
Well, it was just too much to take down because, most of the work of teaching and learning and curriculum and instruction happens in our categories, so we just couldn't take it down that much in reality.
Jen and then Mike.
I'm sorry if you put this on board notes and I missed it. I still need to understand the 96,000 because if no one can tell us what it is, I'm more inclined to zero that out. So the
It's
70,
in frequently asked questions, Jen. We filled out every answer, and that was sent to you. This
Okay.
document is pretty comprehensive. Everything has been answered in here.
okay. So like I said, I might have missed that one.
State line.
Could we review that answer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where is it? I'm
Ray, do you
sorry.
have that at the top of your?
Hold on, I'll dig it out again.
Wait for Ray.
I just,
Bear with me a few minutes.
Let's see.
Yeah, if you,
And you asked a question on
oh, do they want any?
20.
Hey, Chris.
well, Jen is looking for that. Can I ask another question?
Oh,
Made them down.
Oh, I'm sorry, sure.
1-6.
Well, actually, Mike is before me.
Yeah, did you find it? No, you
Ian, do you want me to send it to you and you share it?
What's that?
The comparison for functions 2312
I
from
don't
25 to 26, 2314, and 2317.
I don't
We went through this the other night. but
Yes, we
I
did.
can- We can show it again.
We have the chart. We understand what the numbers are.
They
What
were
we're
trying to
questioning
say,
is,
what was the 96,000?
where's that 95 and change going? Who's it, this is where
That's the one, I don't want to give names, Susan.
I know, but I just have to
Titles
look at
and
it
positions would be
again.
fine.
You don't need to give
They don't know
names.
the names.
You don't need to give names, right? The point is like the 25 budget versus the 26 proposed, or 24, 25. It's an increase of 96,000, which is substantial, right, over the 3%.
You
That's,
know what, I might have put it in this book. Can you tell me what function code you're on and what page?
I think it was 104, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, 114.
What's the
And-
function
What's the
code?
function code?
Oh, 2312.
on page 597.
I don't need names, I just need to understand why a substantial increase. I
Just an
didn't-
FYI, I wouldn't give the names anyway, but I would get positions for you.
Okay, I've been asking since December.
Well, I wasn't here in December, and I wish I could have
Let's
helped.
have a nice tone. Let's be respectful, please.
I'm just tired of, like,
Well,
feeling like I'm being,
I don't see it on 2312.
2312.
Administration, I see clerical. Was it clerical?
It's 114, you need to, I don't have my
Clerical
computer with
admin.
me, so you need to take the 1700, the 2314, and the 2312. If you just answer the question, I wouldn't be getting upset. I just don't like asking and then not getting an answer for 3 months. I did ask in January.
Okay, he gets the point, Jim. He was in here.
I do too. I'm just looking for that 96,000. that
You
were
need,
saying.
so I put the spreadsheet together. He shared a spreadsheet. It was clear on his spreadsheet.
Was that the one that we're asking to show?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that is the one. So, I mean, we can pull that up if you want.
That's his spreadsheet. Let me see if I can find it.
Let's see.
I'm drowning in papers.
Me too.
So it's a spreadsheet that Ray put.
I did it myself too, but I don't have,
Susan?
Yes.
This is the file, the 114 is
Yeah.
the one, remember, some of the people have not been reallocated yet out of that. We were
I think
speaking
it was
about-
communications and grants. That's what that is.
Right. I could
It's
send
a
you.
communication coordinator and grants coordinator.
Ray, if you have it handy, my email is ready to receive. I could just take it and project it.
Hold on, I gotta clean it up. I got names all over this thing, and I ran the file this morning for us for discussion.
I know.
Oh, I got it. I found it.
I said it's communications and grants.
This one that that has no names.
Well, that's what it is, without their names.
So Susan's saying it's
Communication and
communications and
grants.
grants. And where would that be in the budget book?
Well,
Do you want to know where that is, Jen, in the budget book, or?
do we see a corresponding?
so what we did was we took function 2312 and broke it out. And so for under clerical admin in my office are the two people that help support me. And also we have a registrar. And also we have communication and grants. And then under Lori's office are the four people that support her in 2312. 2314.
Yeah, it's 2312, Joe.
And then there's nobody in 1700 district-wide.
So,
At the business office.
Well, that's not part of it, no.
So the
So-
two people, who are the two people that support you?
So I have, well, you know, Joyce and Erica and
I thought
Joan.
Erica was like part-time.
Erica's full-time.
I thought she was part-time in your office and part-time.
Well,
with
yeah, but
Anne
she's
Marie.
under Anne Marie and I.
So she's half and half? Is that, yeah.
Well, no,
Oh, she have a full, because this is Anne Marie and this budget too.
yeah, Anne Marie is with me.
So those are the two people.
Right. So the original 2312 was all of us together. And then we broke it out into just Anne Marie and me, which is the new function code, when you have that chart in front of you. I guess you've got it up there now.
yes, that's the one.
So the one with that, all the numbers are there. It used to be that it was Anne Marie and me, you know, the superintendent's office. Then it was HR office, and then it was district-wide. And so we broke it apart. The idea was to give you a little more clarity. But in doing so, it was harder to look year to year because we split them all up. So the clerical for me is Erica and Joyce, and I shouldn't be saying their names, and the registrar. And then I think Joan is in there too, for Board of Ed.
Jen.
So is this going back to what Adrian pulled out last time, where in the prior year budget, in those sheets, reduction should have been taken and it maybe didn't?
Did you guys get these?
Yeah.
That I just handed out? Oh, all
Yeah.
right, because I got 3 of them back, so I
Yeah.
thought I handed 6.
Well, you got Mike and Jay online, so.
What was it you just handed out?
Did you get one of these?
Just now?
I just handed it down.
No.
No, then.
All right.
Happened?
I just-
pass it? You didn't get it?
This has,
All right, wait, once, before you go.
No.
Let's make sure, because Mike is online, he has his hand up too.
oh, yeah. I just emailed the file to Ian, so we can share some of this online if we need to.
I did. Matthew passed them back.
Matthew, why'd you pass him back?
Because I thought this was more of the same function codes. I didn't realize it was something new. This goes to what I said before, again and again. Every document must have a date and must be paginated because we're going through papers. Got to do this. Every document for the budget.
Well, if not, you can put a date on it yourself if you want.
No, really, but going forward, it doesn't take much to do it.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if they forget, then you just do it on your paper when you get it. I just do it on my paper when I get it, if they forget to
You're a
do
better
it.
woman than I am, I can say that.
All right, Jen, are you done, Jen?
Well, Adrian's
Yeah,
taking
can I-
over now.
Okay. Mike?
Thank you, and thank you for the explanation on, so with that, with clerical, my understanding is that the actual, like for this year, and what's currently in the superintendent's budget is 4 FTEs in the superintendent's office and 4 FTEs in human resources. So that totals 8. My question is, in the adopted 2025 budget, there's not 8, it's only 7.3.
Because one is a part-time, Mike. So it's
But
really
where's-
7 and a partial for Joan doing the Board of Ed work.
But in the current superintendent's budget, it's 4 FTEs in superintendent's function code and 4 FTEs in HR, so that's a total of 8. The adopted budget for FY25 was 0.7 FTE lower than that, so 7.3.
It's still
I'm wondering
0.7, Mike, because I just named 4 people, but they aren't all full-time. 3 are full-time,
Yeah.
and 1, Joan, is part-time. Although she's been
okay.
doing a lot of meetings, so it
Okay,
might
hold
be
on.
more than her usual part-time.
Okay, so I'm going off the function code budget tables, the FTEs. So in the superintendent's office, it has 4.0 FTEs, and then in HR for clerical, and then in HR in your budget, it also has for HR 4.0 FTEs. So that's a straight up 8.0. So whether they're half-time or not, it's adding up to 8.0. And then the approved budget for FY25, the adopted one, is 0.7 lower than that, which seems maybe to connect with what you're saying about part-time. But it seems like we've got a higher, I'll just say this, adopted FY25 is 7.3. The actual that's listed in the budget totals 8.0, and the requested currently is 8.0 for clerical. So I'm wondering why the difference.
You wonder why the difference, are you on the 24-25 difference? Where the adopted was 7.3 and the actual was 4?
Yeah, well, just totaling it up, 2025, it was approved for 8.0 FTE clerical. Not 8.0, 7.3 FTE clerical. What's actually in those two function codes now is 8.0. Why is the difference there? I get that we're carrying that forward, but I want to know why that difference.
Okay, thanks, Mike. You want to know why the .7 difference?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, first of all, you don't see the registrar under ours, but I know for certain, Ray, can you confirm that? That the registrar used to be, I'm trying to think. This is where I really could use Lori, that she really has had mom home very ill.
Well, is this related to in 2314, why there's a...
Right now, everything is still under 2312 in our system. So it all depends
Or
on
the increase?
the divvying up within the FTEs themselves. If there is no 2314,
No, it's not, we don't have it yet. It's for next year.
Yeah, but he's just adding up the people. He's saying clerical administration was 4 last year, and 4 in your budget, in Lori's budget, and that's 8. And last year, the adopted budget was 7.3. That's what he's so.
Susan, I'm looking at exactly 7 bodies in 2312.
Look up under teaching and learning, Anne Marie, let's look at there.
Excuse me, I've got one person with one charge, so that's probably your .3.
I know who that is. I've just said it a couple times out loud, the .3.
The .3 of the registrar.
No,
So you
that's
have-
Joan.
You have 7.3 right now.
Okay. But then you're still missing a .4 somewhere.
0.7, yeah. Yeah, so do we, maybe the FTE staffing, to keep it as is, should be 7.3 FTE. Requested, like actual is 7.3, it sounds like now. And then the requested should be 7.3, and then the dollar amount should be consistent with that.
Yeah. So, under 2314, the adopted actual under clerical,
These numbers don't match up.
actually all of the priors are relics, yes, the 24-25 numbers, because under the dollar figures, there's nothing. So, see what I'm saying? Everything matches up, prior year, this year, for our current year and proposed, whereas the dollars are 0, and
Right.
in other words, they've been moved. So I think,
They've been moved.
so I think that the 24-25 numbers under 2314 are relics, correct? Okay. So, I hate to sound like a fool, but yeah, so I'm looking at adopted 7.3, proposed 8. Right? Altogether between these two functions. Never mind what it says as a prior under 2314. So I'm less interested in who's .3 and 7. It's 7.3 FTE, proposed 8. I'm trying to match up the dollars, and this is where I think Jen is having a problem, which is we had a total of 361,705 for 7.3, and now we have a total of 457,381 for 8. The difference between those is the almost $96,000. That can't be somebody's raise.
No,
that's what
those are
Jen
those
wants to
two
know.
positions that work.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are these accounted for? Where are the FTEs accounted for? So you're saying that they're in some other function somewhere, and that's what we're hunting for.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the budgets here. I think, personally, in looking at the budget for 24, 25, I think something happened where it got under budgeted. Because if you look at, under the 2312, you look at the clerical on page 5-97. we had the actual unaudited was 415,000 spent. And if we look at what was budgeted for 24, 25, 361. Well, I'm running at a $500,000 pace right now, even at 7.3. Because the fiscal year is about half over, and I've already spent $250,000 on that budgeted line.
So what are you saying about that
Saying that
$96,000?
361 is an under budgeted line. When they came in on 2312, you see where it's 361? That's under budget. I'm looking at the budget numbers.
Line
not the budget.
114, clerical administration.
114 line, second one down. If you go across under the 24, 25 budget, there's no way you were going to run these lines for $360,000.
So from 2 years ago, where we said our actual was 415, we should be at least 415 running through this year. It's the same 8 people, right? Or 7 people, or 7.5, whatever it is.
7 people, right?
Basically, same crew. So over the course of a couple of years, the figure's gone up 10%, which would cover, 8 people over the course of 2 years? Like $2,500 a person or something?
Right.
And it falls much closer in the ballpark of, so instead of, I think I see this now, instead of trying to find this mysterious $96,000 salary, it isn't $96,000.
Can't vote against.
The difference between the actuals and what we're proposing, the actuals for 2 years and what we're proposing, is small enough to cover a reasonable raise for everybody over the course of a couple of years. I'm just not saying that's the answer, but that looks like that might be the answer.
Adrian?
Yeah, so I emailed a sheet, which was the budget reductions last year when we went through and cut 125 jobs, and a lot of them were our Besser and a lot of them weren't. This, all right, yeah, Ian's got it up. If you go down to the 1, 2, 3, yes. If we go down to the 5th or 6th line down, it says reduce 1 CO part-time clerical on line 134 for $22,000. That was never done, at least it didn't look like it was done between the February 2nd document that we were given on the budget, and then we voted on this piece of paper. But that deduction was never taken off of that budget. The next line item down was $62,000. That number was taken out of the budget. I don't know if the FTE was. So that was a full-time central office clerical. It would have been in line 114. And so that line was taken out of the budget, which is how we got from the superintendent's proposed budget last year was initially $423,705. Then we went through this process, and the approved budget was, so it was the loss of the FTPE. The approved budget was $361,705. So that's where that money went. And going to line 134, I don't understand why that $22,000 that we approved wasn't taken so like when we voted on a budget, we voted to eliminate that $22,000. That was part of our savings. But in the actual budget that was produced after we voted, it didn't have the elimination. That line item stayed at $68,272.
What function code were you looking at?
That's in 2312.
How do you know that part-time and this one, because the one that I recall that we lost was Clint's admin assistant.
Yeah.
How do we know that it was underneath?
So you're saying that part-time was in?
Part-time was in, full-time was in Clint's office. The part-time was in the main office. And it was only part-time during times when enrollment was really up. So someone came in
So
to help.
what code is Clint's code? Can we look back to that?
I don't know, where did Clint go?
Is that an explanation for the 96,000?
No, the 90,
Or where we
Well,
at with the
I mean, we did take
96,000?
no, I'm just going back to why Ray said that line was under budgeted. That line was under budgeted because it was supposed to lose an FTE for 62,000. The line was initially 423 in the superintendent's proposed budget. It got adjusted after this, after, in our budget talks, it got adjusted down 62,000. So that's why the approved budget went through at 361,705.
Trying to find Clint's line.
That's why I sent an email last week asking for details on this. No, particularly, I would like to know the actual numbers of people working in clerical central office for 24, 25, and proposed for 26. So.
well, I have the information by their role, and I just explained to you what their roles were and who has what. But I do recall the loss of the position was in IT, clerical.
All right, so we'll look back to that. So I guess that's why, if the 22,000 was IT, then that's separate. But still, we lost a position, and now it seems like we're adding money back in for that position. 'Cause, I mean, in total, the increase is from currently 361,705 between those departments to 457,381. So that's the increase in clerical between those two departments.
I guess the question is then, so the budget was adjusted down, right? But did we ever lose an FTE?
We did. We lost
We did. That's
one
what you said.
full and
It's
then a
just-
part-time.
Then why is it still showing 8?
Well, it does say in her proposed budget, it said 8.3. So she was trying to go up an FTE in the proposed, that one from February 2nd last year. And then she brought it down to 7.3 FTE.
Okay.
Then the number came down, but it didn't seem,
So under my budget are the 3 admin assistants, the 2 that are in my office, and the registrar. Also the receptionist who sits out there. Now, does it make sense to you? No, it never made sense to me because I've got people from all over central office under me. And that's true today. So, and when we look at the assistant superintendent, or we look at HR, we have definitely the 4 full-timers who are with Lori. And then the other area that is kind of Anne Marie and I together is the teaching and learning department. And in teaching and learning, I just thought I had it.
This is where we get bogged
Teaching and
down.
learning.
We don't
I
have
know.
answers to the
Well,
questions.
I'm trying. 586 and 587 is teaching and learning. And we have a data manager. We have under there the 6 through 12 STEM coordinator, half-time. We have Paula happens to be in teaching and learning. And, so really support. And then the communication specialist is here too, 0.5.
Like, what was in teaching and learning?
Yeah, she's always been in teaching and learning.
I thought you said she's with you.
Well, she's now located with Anne Marie, but she does all the teaching and learning work with the curriculum and the PD, and that's kind of her area of expertise.
But she's not in the teaching and learning budget.
She is in the she always was in the teaching and
The
learning.
communications specialist?
No.
And communication specialist is here too, just 0.5.
Wait a second.
half in teaching and learning.
In teaching and learning, and then she's in your budget with Anne Marie. I don't get that.
I didn't say Paula was in my budget.
Our budget. I thought
I
you
said,
said.
I said
Communications
under here.
specialist.
Okay.
Was split?
rather than go through all of this, would you be willing to change our 75 to 95, and then we just call it a day?
No, I can't do 95. I told you 75. That's what I can do. I looked
Okay,
through it.
then we'll need to continue going around trying to figure out what happened then.
I think you just have to realize that that's about as low as it can go.
Yeah, but they want to know what happened with that $96,000.
Yeah.
Where is that in the budget? That's what they.
Well,
Well, again, if I might, if Ray's correct, and this 361, which is our baseline for coming up with the $96,000,
what page are you on? Can we look at that?
597.
597, okay? So Ray's point, it's been done in other areas, it's been done with other accounts, is that the 361,705
Is low.
is for whatever reason under budget. And so we would not be using that, because if you look at the prior year, it's 415.
Yeah.
So the actual, or what the budget for 24-25 should have been, was something like that 415. Throw in a 2% raise or something, assuming the same FTEs or even close. Okay? Actually, with these low numbers, you've got to be very, very close. It makes a difference whether you're thinking about 8 or 7.5 or 7.5 or 8. So what I wind up with is, if I say 415, 744 from fiscal year ending 24 was 8 bodies, say. Oh, I'm sorry, was 7.3 bodies. And the now proposed total for 8 bodies is 457, 381. The difference is much smaller. And again, it's probably not correct, but what it does is it assumes something like an average 4.9% increase in pay each year. That gets rid of this idea that somebody's being paid $96,000 somewhere that we can't find. I don't think these people got a 4.9% raise, but it's a much more plausible explanation than what happened to this missing salary, this missing person. But I'm making an assumption about the FTEs. That changes radically. It's something like close to a 0% increase if you say instead of 7.3, it's 8 FTEs from a couple of years ago.
And
that I couldn't tell you.
to support,
But this is the ballpark that I'm in when I'm going down this road.
and to support your thinking, when you add for 26, what's in the superintendent's budget, let's round it to 194, you take what's in the HR budget, which rounds to 264, that's 558, which sounds much more reasonable when you look at the actual of 415. So when you put those two together,
Yeah, so there may be a question to answer, but I don't think, if Ray is correct, that the 361,705 is artificially low. I don't think the question is, how do we, what accounts for the 95,676? We have a different question, I think.
Mike? Mike, you still there?
Yeah, I didn't know if you said my name or someone else's. Couldn't tell. Yeah, so I just want to get back to my small issue. Is it correct to say that the actual between HR and superintendent's office right now is 7.3 FTE? I think that's what I heard Ray say.
That's what it looks like.
And then is the request then? I know the request in the superintendent's budget says 8.0 FTE, but is the actual request just for 7.3, same as we have right now?
well, I have a full-time receptionist.
Oh, I just want to know, are we still, if 7.3 is the actual, so in your request it says 8.0 because we have 4 plus 4. Should it really be 7.3 because we just have the same people as we do right now? Is that what you're requesting?
So what I have,
Just the numbers, not the people.
in 25, the year 25, there are 4. For proposed in 26, there are 4.
This is human resources?
This is me. This is superintendent and assistant superintendent. It does look like what was adopted was 7.3 when it was all together with HR.
Was the change the essential half salary to the communication person? Could that explain that difference?
I can answer that. I just researched it, and you were right. There was, if I'm okay to answer, the 22,000 did get taken out of Clint's. It was just miscoded. It was line 114 in Clint's, but that 22,000 did disappear last year from the proposed budget to the actual budget, and it was on Clint's side. He had initially gone down from 1 clerical to 0.5, and then he lost the other 0.5. So that's where that. It was just written 134 here when it was actually 114 in his budget, is what it looks like anyway.
I hate when it types whatever we say. Does yours do this? I was texting Lori. When I asked Lori about it, she said, I don't know if it would help if you want us to put it all back together again. But I think for
think it
clarity,
will.
I think we need to do this, right?
You need to do this,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
This is the right move, splitting
It's
it.
good to keep it
It's just
separated, yeah.
really confusing, though.
Yeah, no.
I know who the people are. They're sitting.
No, it's not the people, right? It's more like what happened? How did we end up getting there? You know what I mean? And even if you put it back together, the number's still going to be the same, Susan. You know?
Okay, you want to move on?
So can I follow up? Because I didn't get an answer to my question. So my question is, okay, so we have from Ray that the actual this year is, because there is only one code right now, it's superintendent, or not one function right now, it's superintendent's office. Clerical is 7.3 FTEs. So those people are here and working in their capacities. In the requested budget, are you just requesting funds for those same people at that same staffing level? If so, then the superintendent's request should be 7.3, or I guess it's now to us, it should be 7.3 FTE, not 8.0. So I just want to know, is someone trying to add 0.7 FTE? Because I feel like that's not the case. I feel like the 8.0 is wrong.
If I
The
just,
7.3 was for both HR and the superintendent. Now that we've split it up, we see 4 and 4, because there are 4 whole people in her area and 4 whole people in my area. So I'm not sure where the 0.3 and, the less 0.7 came from, unless there was someone working part-time last year.
I think you said there is someone working part-time. You're just mentioning that in your codes. Maybe Joyce was, because she was in something else, for instance. I don't want to use names, but I thought you'd come up to that 7.3.
We just
Susan, I
found
have-
out the part-time was in Clint's area.
Yeah, the other one, there's 2 line items that we deleted last year, right? One full-time CO clerical and one part-time CO clerical. The part-time CO clerical was just miscoded, but it was in 2540, and it did get deleted from there in that same dollar amount, 22,000. The full-time clerical is the one we're trying to figure out. Like, who was, what full-time, I mean, that's why we asked for a count of who actually works here and who worked here last year, or I asked for anyway.
Ian?
yeah, I just wanted to I guess, emphasize, so this is the split, this is the 2314 human resources. It's showing 4 proposed for 25-26. But it shows from the 24-25 that it had 4 that were assigned there. And then when we go back up here to 2312, you see that there's 7.3 attached to this superintendent's office in 24-25, and then proposed is 25-26, it's 4.0. It shows a negative 3.3 reduction. So there's just, again, it just seems to be more of a kind of a clerical error, but there's still a 0.7 that's missing. If we assume that the 7.3 is the combined number of both admin, of both superintendent and HR, then it makes sense that, okay, superintendent split and took 4 with them. So 4 remain with superintendent. That means the 3.3 that's removed should show up in HR.
Right,
But when we look at HR, it shows 4.
right.
So there's the differential of the 0.7. The question is, are we looking to fill 4 in HR, or are we looking to
There
fill?
already are 4 people in it.
Okay.
There
And
already are the 4 that are accounted for with.
so I guess that's the mystery increase, is where did that 0.7 come from? Because if we can account for 7.3 from last year, how did that get up to 8 for this year between the 2 offices?
All I know is that I've always had the 2 in my office, I've always had the registrar, and I always have had the reception, unless the reception had been somewhere else prior, and all of a sudden it got put in mine. But I understand that reception is under me.
Is there a 0.3 position?
Is the reception a .3 position? Is she full-time?
No, but I think Joan is the .3.
All right,
Okay.
Joan is part-time.
Joan is part-time.
yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Some of these look like they were
So there's a clerical error here.
130,
Yeah.
That it
34.
should be listed as a, there should be a 0.3 that carries through to the 25-26 budget.
And is Joan under you?
So I do have temporary part-time, and that is her. That's under 134. So that is her. She's not under 114, she's under 134, under me.
In 2312.
Yep.
But it doesn't show that in the FTEs.
So is she included in your FTEs?
Yeah, that she's the .3.
So she's the .3?
But there is no 0.3 in 25-26.
So that would make 7.3 or
There's no
8.3?
0.3 in 25-26. It's just 4.0.
If you got 4 plus 4
Right, so she should still be a .3.
plus 0.3, then
So
you
it
have
should-
8.3.
Should that be a 3.3? That 4.0 in superintendent's office should be
3.3.
3.3.
Yeah.
He's in 134. He got in 1.4.
Yeah, I see she's in 134, but she's under superintendent.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you have
Right.
an administrative assistant, and then you have the policy person. I'm not naming them, that's 2, right? And then Joan is a .3. And then who else do you have? That's 2.3.
I also have the registrar. who
Is she
sits up
full-time?
front. She's full-time.
All right, so that's
And I got the
3.3.
receptionist under me.
So,
It doesn't really make sense to me.
so that's
Just
4.3.
saying.
That's 4.
That's
Yeah,
4.3.
but I married into it, I'm just saying.
So,
So that's 4.3.
I didn't decide on it, it's not on my
They're
work.
not all,
Your
again, they're
numbers are
not all
lower,
under
that's
114. They're, a lot of this is, what's going, is under 134 as well. There's a lot of part-time.
But the
under
money is in
134.
there, so it's not like we are adding money to it, we're just
No,
accounting for the
no, I
FTE.
don't.
So your FTE should be 4.3.
I agree with you.
okay.
I
So we're
agree.
missing a 0.3, but that makes it 8.3 total between the 2 offices.
Right.
I don't agree with that. The FD, the actual is 7.3. Ray just said it. So, like, and he's looking at the current function code. So, I'll just say it clearly. I think the board-approved budget should have 7.3 FTE in clerical, divided however you want to do it, between HR and the superintendent's office, and the dollar amount should match that, and probably go off of the FY '25 estimated, the numbers that Ray has, plus whatever increases in there. So I've said my piece on that. I will add on that this year's function codes do not have the FY '25 estimated column in the budget numbers that every other budget book has had. And I know that's in the Excel spreadsheet that this is built off of. And I think that should be put back in because over the course of like a couple weeks and different accounts, we've been going back and, what are we running this year? What are we running this year? And it's helped to motivate increases or decreases. And so having that extra column in, there's room for it, and I know it's in the spreadsheet. I think that also needs to be put into the board-approved budget document that goes out to the town council.
You do know I need to get that done by Friday.
It's already in your spreadsheet. I know it is because we saw an earlier version of the spreadsheet. So that column's there, it's just not showing up here.
But everything needs to be formatted properly so it can be printed. We had issues when we write justified it.
It's worked every other year.
Okay, we get it, we get it.
Have you been to the central office? Have you counted the fannies? Have they changed in 20 years?
No, not in 11. They haven't changed in 11.
Thank you.
I can't count to 20 back.
All right. You want to move on, Susan?
I would love to. All right, where were we? So I've told you I could account for 75, I couldn't go to 115. And I guess if we look now at the tracker that says 221.25, thank you, Ian, because that's where that adjustment was made based on the data that we had from 221. Can you make it any bigger, or is it just me? Or you guys have the sheet in front of you, you're okay, this is really for...
Adrian, this was from you?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you recall, but we had said that there could be cost savings in 1,500 function 126, and we actually were able to resolve that. We were able to take away 60,000 instead of 41.5. And if you look down at the very bottom where it's highlighted, that's where we put the 60. So instead of taking 41 that you all had looked at with me, we're taking 60 instead. And then we looked at, above that, we looked at the aides, and they were K aides, and we were able to adjust because the years prior, we had, they were preschool and pre-K aides. And what happened in preschool is they used to have 2 for each session. They were part-time, but they had 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. We cut them back to 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. But if there is a child with an IEP, which they are special ed programs, so there's usually a few children with IEPs that say that they need extra paras. So there are extra paras in those preschool programs. So we're able to take out 150,000. And Ray, you were the one who kind of figured that out for me. Did you want to explain how you figured that out?
I put it in a lengthy email. Basically, I ran the usage, our current burn rate on that, and averaged it out, and we had room to relieve both Object 130 and 120 by 150,000 each. There's a little more room in the 130 in the aids, and the subs, we have the room, but it could, with possible increases in wages, different illnesses, who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be tight, but I think it's doable.
Susan?
And then, I'm just trying to recall a thought that I have with that, that goes along with that. Oh, I think, remember, Ray, that there was another efficiency that we had found with the most recent number that was given to us by the town with the workman's comp and another insurance, that we might have over budgeted for some of that. And so there is a little bit of wiggle room, like $40,000 that might be able to
Yeah, that might be another
reduce.
40 we could take.
So I
out of-
think that could actually reduce that sub-account. We could put it at 110 instead of 150 and be okay with that.
Can I ask a question?
Well, Jen first
I'm
and then
sorry.
Ian.
Sure.
Yeah. So Susan, when I had previously suggested 120, you had concerns, and now you're saying 150. Are you sure?
Now I'm taking it down to 110.
Okay,
because that will make me feel better.
okay.
Do you
And
want
that's
me to
because I
increase?
just got the
You
notice
just-
from the town that we had kind of over budgeted in this one area when we looked at the number.
Okay.
So we would be
So
good
do
to
you
take the
want me to
40 from the
increase the
workman's comp
reduction
and call
on
it
the-
200.
Wait, Ray, Susan was talking.
So, Ray,
Right.
we could move the workman's comp to 200 addition instead of
No,
240.
We're going the wrong way with it. The workers' comp, we needed the 240.
I know, but
the up-
it's within that, it's within that insurance category. I don't know if it's exactly that one, but it's one that was overstated from the town.
So you want me to,
But I'm confused by that statement.
Yeah,
sorry.
the town said
Like-
240, I thought.
They did, but then they gave us another, we got a letter, I got a letter today from Dee, and when we looked at the total number that was being requested, the 920 or whatever, we've actually got more than that in the budget.
Go ahead, Ian.
Well, first and foremost, I'm looking at these lines, the last three lines, or I should say the three lines above the highlight. The 150, the 150, and the 128. And I see 1101, 1101, 1101, and that's all elementary. And we had a lot of discussion on this board about elementary education and wanting to remain invested in that. And all this time, all this discussion, we've not made any cuts to elementary. And I was taking that to mean that we were serious about like remaining invested in elementary, foundational learning. So I'm concerned, gravely concerned, that, you know, as we've been pressing these numbers, now here in crunch time, we end up looking at like $428,000 getting pulled out of 1101, elementary education.
So the,
I don't agree with that.
well, can I tell you why the 1101 for the 128 is, I tried to explain this to you, but in our first grade class, they are the kindergartners that, in the kindergarten class, that are like 2/3 of the population. So they're going to go to first grade, so instead of needing 4 of them, we just need 3 of them in a couple of
That's all well and
schools.
good, but what it says is like 2 FTE due to enrollment retirements. The way I read
That's
that
it.
means like basically you're letting two positions expire.
For next year, because we don't need them, because you're only going to have
But
class
we need
sizes
2
of 12
positions
in the
somewhere.
first grade.
Like if we don't use it there, then we can use them somewhere else in the elementary grades.
Well, I was working.
Because we don't want to
positions
lose.
For you, and
Right,
trying to
but
get your
the
budget
one place that
down
we
so
all
that you
agreed
can-
on having not taken any impact
I'm
was
just
elementary.
saying That
So why are we doing that?
we looked at the numbers, and.
Well, I'm not in
the
favor of
classes
that,
are within
and I will vote
20.
against it.
If you don't get rid of these 2 teachers, is there use for them elsewhere in elementary ed?
There were actually 4 of those positions, so I'm just taking 2. So we can
It's
keep
not
the other
answering the
2 are
question.
in.
That
Not
doesn't,
answering the question.
that doesn't answer the question.
And is there,
I'm saying that there are 2 other positions that we did not take that
That's
maybe
not
we can
answering the-
use. You
K-
just don't know.
K through
I've told
5.
you so many times that when we're working on enrollment, it's a constantly changing thing. For what the data that we have now and the data that we're used to having when we open the school, it looks like our class sizes fit right within what the board approves.
well, but the question is, if we don't get rid of these 2 in elementary ed, can we use them somewhere else?
In elementary.
In elementary ed, because Ian's actually right. We did say we want to put a big emphasis on elementary education, and now we're cutting people from elementary ed. I mean, I know it's a temp regular teacher aides. Temp must mean they come in when the aide is out. So you're expecting that line to get better?
Yeah, because we looked at the real numbers, so we were, again, looking at the real numbers and trying to estimate, based on, Ray did the work to say what we had expended and how far we're going to make it to the end of the year, and felt like that was the better number.
I think I have Matthew and Adrian and Dean.
Let Adrian and Dean go first.
Okay.
Control.
Just to close out my thought, though, I mean, I'm not, like, I encourage us, we're going to carry on with the method that we had of voting on each of these changes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would
Oh, yeah,
encourage
we're
people
gonna
to vote
vote.
their conscience on this.
Yeah, we're going to vote on it. Adrian?
Yeah, I do not support reducing the elementary staff at all. I mean, we know district-wide, what is it, fourth grade has an average of 24 kids per classroom? Am I correct on that? I was looking for the number. Maybe it's 23. But I know there was
It's not-
one.
That's not the average. Is a class, I think, with 23, but most of them are between 20 and, 20 and 22.
All right,
Or
well-
20. That's what the board recommends. Actually, the board says up to 24.
Who's the board?
You. That's what you're,
When have we discussed class sizes?
you have voted on
Policy on it.
class size.
Yeah, it's-
Every year.
Yeah.
And that's what your number is, 24.
I'm not in favor of that.
Well, you voted on it.
I probably voted against it.
We didn't vote on that. It was in the policy,
You don't have
so
it.
I've seen it. But
No,
let's
it's voted every year.
go back to,
Yeah.
so this lull in first grade also comes with a lot of kindergartners, right? Because we only have 9 months of children in first grade next year, but now we're going to have 15 months of children. Am I doing the math right?
No, you're always going to have a full year.
15 months. No, because those kids are still there. The kids that were born from September to December are still there. So there's going to be a
They're
small
going into
class.
kindergarten.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we've got 4 of each in kindergarten.
So how
you've
big
got
are our
enough.
kindergarten classes going to be next year?
So they're
'Cause
going to be
gonna-
20. We've already got it, you've got it in your enrollment. You've got 4 sections of kindergarten because you're taking on the TKs, and you're going to have 3 sections of first grade because you didn't have the TKs. So, I mean,
I'm not in I would love to see the actual numbers on kindergarten next year, but I am not in
Not all
favor
the
of.
numbers in front of
I'm
you.
just going to finish speaking.
okay.
I am not in favor of cutting any staff out of elementary because the needs in elementary, because the needs of our town, the economic needs of our town, the high-need students, we need to improve elementary, and we can't do it with fewer staff.
We're going to actually, those lines, one of those lines are substitute teachers.
Yeah, that's a district-wide number. I realize that. It was put in the substitute still for some reason, but I know we moved that to district-wide. But the
So
aides,
they're not like permanent staff, that's all.
we cut 10 aides the night of the vote last year. And these are minimum wage workers, or close to minimum wage workers, and we're $150,000. That seems like a lot of time that staff is going to be working with our children that we're losing. So I don't understand how the
That's
sub.
based- 130?
That's based on a budget that was overinflated this year. Is that right, Ray?
101, yeah, I'm going to
That's
those
based-
bottom.
150 is based on something that got
130, right?
overinflated for this year, and he's adjusting it to what is really expected. Can you talk to that, Ray, please?
That's what I did. I did a deep dive into both of these. For example, on the 120 line, our burn rate is between 70 and 75,000. And our current budget is 344.1. Well, if you look at that, we're projected to go over budget, okay? So I can understand why they budgeted 950,000 for the next fiscal year. But if I'm looking at my total projection plus increase of a 3% increase, we're around 725 to 750 on our spend for this year. For next year. Why would I want to budget 950,000
That's the
when
thing.
we still have probably a dozen openings that we can't fill now? But that's number one. Number two, that's why we came up with a recommended, we could take easily 150 out of this and still leave you almost an extra $100,000 in the line. That's why we recommended it. I ran the numbers on both of these lines,
Just trying to get
and
you the
both
right
of them
numbers.
are showing that we can very easily pull 150 off of the projection.
Bev?
Go ahead.
It's still not hurt the district. We still have
Oh, wait.
plenty of people to hire.
I'm sorry. Dean and then Matthew.
Okay, so I'm fully on board with the principle of funding elementary and, applying effort there. But it does ultimately work out to how many kids, how many teachers do you need for the kids, and we can argue about, the size of the classroom. We'll get to that in a second. And then space available.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've heard it phrased as we're getting rid of. The way it's phrased here is they're retirements. They're basically getting rid of themselves, right? So what we're really saying is you let them retire. You can't make them stay if they don't want to. We're talking about hiring 2 people to replace them, okay? To zero out that line. Hiring 2 people to replace them and putting them where? Now, one argument would be we put them in so that instead of having a class size of 20, you have a class size of 15 or 12 or something. Wonderful. Let's do that, right? But let's do that consciously.
Can you do it, though, for every grade level?
But what I'm saying is, let's not, I want to get off the general 40,000 foot, let's not get rid of elementary school teachers. I want to know how it's exactly going to be implemented. If we're going to implement it as follows, which is, let's fill those 2 positions that would be left vacant by retirements. I'm presuming these are voluntary retirements and not a euphemism. Then let's do that. But I want to get off the general, let's not get rid of anybody kind of thing. Where are they going to go? And is there space to have more sections of K, 1, 2, et cetera? I'm not aware of the space, limitations or availability.
There are no extra rooms in the inn.
I know
anywhere.
we're tight in middle school. That's
We're
first thing in the
tight
season.
in
Right.
Northeast, and CK doesn't have any extra rooms. CB, depending on themes, and Mystic River, they might have a room or 2, depending, or they might not, depending.
I mean, obviously, I'd like, but if there isn't a room, then what's the sense?
Yeah.
I can't put them in the manger exactly. And even getting a manger, getting additional housing out back, that takes a whole certification
We
process.
also look at class size across the grade, so we really try to balance, and having intra-district magnets is great, because when some of the kids are coming in later in the year, we try to space them out and give them those lottery-protected seats for highly mobile kids. And you don't want to have a school that has 12 in every first grade classroom and one that has 20. I'm trying to balance all of my classrooms across the whole district. This is a pretty complex task, but I have a staff that's really good at it, helping me out
So
all the time.
your bottom line is, if we had the room, wonderful, we could do the 12 kids per class thing, or whatever that works.
But I'd have to do it for everybody, fairsy squaresy, in a grade level.
Right.
If we said, okay, kindergarten's going to be the year, we're only going to put 12 in a classroom, there's not enough classrooms
Okay,
available.
so say we fully funded the replacements of these 2 retirements, and we go with everybody's going to get the same treatment, no matter what school you're in. First grade is going to be, or whatever, is going to be this size everywhere. No special treatment for any particular school. Bottom line, is it possible?
No.
Logistically, is it possible?
No.
Is there physical room for them?
No.
You're saying no. Okay. I'd love to be able to challenge you, but I honestly don't know. I haven't done a count of the classrooms, so.
I'll have to take you for a walkthrough in your spare time.
Matthew?
Well, on the 128, I guess I'm on board. What concerns me on this reduction of aides and subs, and I did actually hear you, I listened attentively, I did hear you, but I also know that you spent a lot of time coming up with the last budget that we had when you drew this up, and I know you gave a lot of reflection. So you came up with budget figures based on a lot of reflection, and now on the last night, we're cutting these positions, and I just, in spite of the words you're saying, it doesn't feel right.
So the first budget was a budget that had to be corrected. It was a real
But doesn't it be the
difficult,
first
and
budget?
I'm just saying, the
But you
person
had a
is
second budget
no
and a
longer
third budget.
here.
This is
I'm just talking to you about, and how the team came together to try to get the numbers as close. But what we noticed, Ray and I, and the whole staff, was that the 25 budget, which was 3 business managers ago, was set, and sometimes the numbers were spot on, and sometimes they were a little high and a little low, but we did get it to the board-approved numbers. But they weren't necessarily all in sync with what we know today and the history that we know today.
I'm terrified of cutting $150,000 worth of aides, because those are why don't we cut $300,000 out of sports? I don't want to do that. Please don't say I'm really proposing that. I'm not proposing that. But I mean, if we said that, people would go bananas, and
So
that's
the
a very polite
60,000 is
word.
coming from sports, and I worked with Mark Romano. That is your 1,500 and your 126. So it's after-school activities and sports that he feels that, we can take out because I guess for whatever reason, certain ones aren't running.
I should have picked on some other classification. My point is not to pick.
Cooking, that's never going
Cooking,
away.
whatever you want. But, gosh, I guess I'm with Adrian. I can't vote for that.
Okay. But it doesn't say temp? Which, on my line 30, it says temporary regular teacher's aide. What does that mean?
Where are you?
I'm in elementary.
You're on 5-7?
130.
I'm on elementary,
Line
1101.
5-7. I'm not on your
Yeah.
page. I'm going to get to your page.
What page are you
So
on there?
line 130, right? I'm on page 5-7, elementary, pre-K to 5,
Temporary.
line 130.
So
It says temp. So is temp, are they there full-time every day? Or what's this definition of temp?
those are the sub aides, temporary. So
they're
they're
substitute.
they're part-time. They're part-time, right, Ray? Temp?
Yeah.
So they're there every day?
Some of them are. It depends on what's needed.
All right, so they're not full-time teachers
And
or aides.
And
So we're not cutting full-time aides.
No,
We're
not
cutting
that I'm aware of.
substitute.
Some of them may work every day, but they don't get full-time bennies.
Yeah, okay.
But that, again, what we had accounted for was 295 for this year, but it's blown up to 557. So
Correct.
that's the number that you said wasn't realistic. So all we're doing is bringing it to more realistic,
No.
right?
That's it.
So
Got
that,
moved into
that again
here.
is looking at the actuals from
that's
24,
negotiations for the
the
future
25
contracts with the
predicted,
unions.
and
And
then 26 we
I'm
felt
looking
was
at the
too
current
much.
actuals as well.
What's
And
that?
That's why,
Specify.
I'm also looking at the current actuals. So this is
I
why,
trust you.
we're recommending the cuts.
All right, so they're recommending the cut for the 950,000, that's line 120, and from the 557,000.
Right,
They're
we
saying
felt
they
like
don't
it was
need that
too
much
high.
money.
Yeah, we could reduce the 150 and still be fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so
if we look at yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to kind of recap or rewind here a little bit. So everything that was just said about the $950,000 for substitute teachers tonight is, to my memory, opposite of what I heard last week. Exactly opposite. We said we wanted to make sure that we funded fully for substitute teachers, and I understand that 1101 needs to now be 1,700 as far as classification of function codes. So the substitute teachers would not be a direct impact or 100% impact on the elementary. It'd be across the whole district. Okay, fine, fair, but still, like the reasoning that was presented to us last week for maintaining the 950,000 number and not reducing subs is exactly the opposite of what I'm hearing tonight. Two, the aides are flexible. They're professional staff that can go where they're needed, if I understand correctly. Like they flow. Like, so any given day, they can be assigned to any given classroom.
Do assignments as needed.
Right. So that, go back to Dean's point and your point, that we do not have any more room at the end. Correct. So if we can't reduce class size by expanding classrooms, we can still increase student-to-staff ratios by having more staff in the rooms that we do have with the students that we do have. And having temp aides that can flow around, they count, in my mind, as professional staff that can help support the students in their times of need, and help take strain off the primary teacher. So, if students are struggling to keep up, they can kind of break off into work groups, what have you. So, again, I just see still like real-world impacts that, again, like last week, we were told to maintain the funding because we needed to make sure that we didn't run short on subs, and we were running short on subs. The sub number that we're looking at in the 25-26 budget that is still currently in the 1101 function code 120, that number is actually a conglomerate from what used to be spread across all the function codes. That's what we discussed last week. But that's why we saw the $605,000 spike. Was because we consolidated from all the other function codes that used to carry their own little pocket substitutes, all got rolled into this one. And that's why we decided it would actually do better in 1700 because it represents district-wide substitutes. So I'm just having trouble with this number, these numbers, because for one, a lot of the reasoning I'm hearing tonight is opposite of what I recall hearing last week. So I'll have to go back to those meetings and review the notes that I took. Two, I don't support reducing or allowing retirements to stand unfilled because, again, if we can't get more classrooms, then we can put more staff in the classrooms.
Do you want to?
And we can float them around.
A certified teacher in the classroom instead of an aide? So you're going to have 2 certified teachers in the classroom?
Let's look at the needs. I mean, maybe that money that is earmarked for 2 full-time teachers, maybe the on-the-ground needs, it would make sense to break up those salaries into more temp aides or tutors or paras.
Go up to
Like there's that flexibility that exists within the function codes because you're not necessarily jumping function codes, you're just reassigning from within. I'm okay with those on-the-ground decisions. I just don't want to run short, and I don't want to short out the elementary level. I want to increase, I want to encourage maximum flexibility on that level because we never know. Adrian's point, like the spike in the grade numbers, kindergarten, dropped in numbers this year, but that spike of population could run through year after year, each grade level.
So you still need space to put them.
Well, I mean, the students are going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is okay, so have a couple co-teachers, have some more temp aides, have some more tutors or paras that you can flex around and put where the needs are. When the teachers say, "Hey, look, I'm overwhelmed here. I need a little more support in this classroom." You're like, "Well, I got a couple. I can redirect over here. This classroom is just diminishing a little bit, so we got that one. Just like that." I just look at the flexibility issue
So if
and
you
not
wanted
running
that
short.
flexibility, and you wanted to go up to the last number that was given to you, so let's say you don't want to do any of these 150s or the 128 retirements or even the 60 for sports, then you're talking about a 7.53% increase, a $94,584,560.44 budget. If there are board members who would prefer doing that, then you're talking about the $94 million, $96,560.44. Which is a 6.98. The board is ready to vote on which number they want.
No, I'm not ready to.
I'm not ready.
I just-
I'm not. By 9:30.
Hold on one second. I didn't get a chance to, I wanted to hear the superintendent's information, but I wanted to be able to respond to that and say, as I and other members have already stated during this process, I'm okay advocating for a larger increase if that's what we determine prepares the school district to be as ready as it can be, to not run short, and to be able to flex our resources where they're needed the most.
Okay. Jen?
I just want to say, Jen can speak, but just recognize I've had my hand up a long time. I probably can't see it because I'm online.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
But hold tight. I'm going to go with Jen. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Susan, I'm the biggest proponent of pushing things, right, to get it out of the budget. But it's only for things that can't be identified, right? Like, I recommended some of these increases. If you and your staff think that these are the appropriate numbers to decrease, who am I to say I'm not there running it? So I will support these numbers. I'm just concerned about the 150 because I had proposed 120 and you were a little nervous about that. So to go up to 150.
And I said we could do adjust after the
Okay.
information I got today. was that we would bring down the 150 to 110 there.
Yep.
And I would just move the 240 to 200 because it's together with other insurances that we got the total bill for from the town that we know can be reduced.
And then the retirements, I know you're being conservative there because that's only like removing 64, and if they're retiring and we're hiring at that 64 range, I know there's like probably 30 times 2, so like 60 somewhere else. So I'm okay with the 128 reduction there because I know that you're probably not taking the full reduction of a retiree.
Yeah, what that is the reduction of 2 new staff members that would take the place of the retirees. So the 2 new staff members would be like more like at the rate of 64,000.
Okay.
That's what that is.
All right, Mike, you all set, Jen?
No, the concern I had about the aides, because you were saying preschool, we used to have 2, and then you're going to change it to 1. Are you
We already
okay with
did that
You
last
already
year.
did that? Okay.
That last
So then
year.
we're all set.
But what I am saying is that in actuality, when you go in those preschool classes, there's at least another paraprofessional or 2, sometimes 3, depending on the children with their needs in the classroom. So that's by the IEP, that's by law. We have to provide that.
Okay.
You all set, Jen?
Yes, I'm all set.
Mike?
Thank you. My questions are about the 2 certified teachers, but I just heard the superintendent say something and wanted to verify. So you said the reductions are because obviously retirements, but then is it not reducing the FTEs because you're going to hire 2 people at lower rates? Is that what you just said?
No,
Or
I'm
they're
taking
actually
out, I'm taking out the lower rated that we would have taken. These are those third grade classrooms first grade classrooms in the district that have been reduced by 1 FTE in several of the schools that had 4 originally.
you-
Now they're down to 3.
So this reduction is reducing the number of certified teachers in the elementary code by 2 FTEs, correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you. And
Based
so
on
I'm gonna-
enrollment, and that we still have small classrooms in first grade, but
Oh,
we would
okay.
have like 10 in a classroom in first grade if we kept them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but, so then, I heard you say that there's no extra room, no additional classrooms, no extra space in the schools. However, the proposed budget that still has these 2 FTEs in it, that you're now proposing to remove, that proposed budget, the staffing for certified teachers, the elementary schools, is exactly the same as this current year actual, which means, by definition, these people are fitting in the classrooms we have, and therefore, if we kept it at the level and not take this reduction, they obviously could fit in. So that's my point. Like I don't see that as a good reason, because there has to be space because there is space now for the same number of people.
We've taken the FTE cut, but we haven't taken the money out. So we had not removed the money, but you see it in the enrollment as 3 in those first grade classrooms.
You don't have an FTE cut in your proposed budget. I'm looking at page. I don't know if I've got the numbers. Well,
5, 6.
I don't see the numbers on this version, but it's function code 1101, and it's certified teachers 101. I see an increase of total elementary teachers in your budget. So I don't see a decrease there.
No, I said we had not taken the decrease in this budget.
Correct. But
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is, like, anyway, you've got enough room for the people that was in your proposed budget. So, but then I'd like to go to, you're saying it's from enrollment, and I get what you're saying, but I'd like to go back, because this is our budget book that we have to go off of and everyone else does. I'd like to go to the yellow tab that's way up the start, and it's page 6 of the yellow tab. It's sort of the enrollment trends, which is what we're talking about. And it says some of what you're talking about, but I'd like to go there. And you can let me know when you get there.
You're on
So
page
just-
6, district enrollment trends.
Yeah, exactly. And so I see what you're talking about, right? Like that kindergarten to first grade class, you've got that 272 that sort of migrates up from kindergarten to first grade.
Yep. That's
And
it.
that point's very well taken. Have the, that FY26 projected, has that subtotal for elementary schools changed now at this point?
Yes, and you can see that when you look at the enrollment broken apart.
Oh, no,
by
I mean, like, so with new information, is it no longer, is 2145 no longer the projection for the elementary school subtotal? You have a new one, I guess, that's what I'm asking.
No, because we've accounted for the lower number in first grade at 272, so that adds
Great.
up with all the others to 2145.
Great, thank you, perfect. And so that 2145 is up from the 2127
Right.
from this current year, so that's an increase in enrollment, yet we're going to decrease the number of classroom teachers, which by definition I would say we already have space for. So we're going to have more kids with less teachers, which means bigger class sizes. And I know that first grade is a little wonky because of the class size that's coming up. But as Ian was pointing out, they can be redistributed because it's a very large code. And so what I'm getting at is we're going to have less teachers, which will be hard to refill later because we'll have to then add new positions. We should have the positions we have, keep them, preserve them, because we're projecting more students than last year at the elementary school level.
We're not
So
losing teachers, those were the 2 retirements.
you are losing teachers because you're not replacing them.
Slots, teacher slots.
Right, but we have
So-
had really good fortune in hiring elementary teachers.
But we're not
It's not a
rehiring them, you
difficult-
said.
It's not a difficult situation.
Rehiring them is not difficult, I agree, because their contracts are advantageous, they're a sustained long-term commitment we have in the teachers and they have in us, and our budget kind of is shifting away from that, it seems, and this would further that shift. So if this district enrollment data is the same as, is still the best projection we have, and that hasn't changed, then I cannot support less classroom teachers, slots in elementary school, for all the reasons we've been talking about. And so I'm very, very strongly against that specific cut of minus 128,000 that came in just recently. More broadly, I was not on the board last year, but I did pay attention to the process. And this is maybe not carbon copy, but reminiscent of in between one of the last meetings before the budget was voted on. Huge changes that were made, I would say, extracurricular from the board activities. And now they're being brought forward for us to consider, but these are large changes that, based on the same data that we have here, you had other numbers before. So I'm very troubled by that, and the swings in some of the other accounts makes me very, very, well, I can see this one right here. You're projecting more students, and we're going to try and teach them less classroom teachers. They can't support that. And I'm concerned about some of the other swings too, like the substitute teacher. Maybe something's being overlooked because of the weird combos. So I've said my say, and I urge all the board members to really think about that. These are big swings, and it's a big, big hit to elementary school funding here. And remember, as they've said, they've been shorthanded through this budget process. And shouldn't we err on the side of caution so we don't get caught underfunding the very fundamental education that can someday help improve our scores, because we know they're not where they're at. They should be.
Thanks, Mike. Dean?
Yeah.
So we are basing our opposition to this proposal, which has been made in terms of dollars, not in terms of FTEs. and we're taking the dollars and we're saying, well, a reduction in dollars is a reduction in FTEs. Perhaps. And this goes back to the beginning of our deliberations, and Mike and I noticed the same thing. The 1101 function is the one that has the most certified staff reported. And as I said before, it's a good-sized population. It's not the total population of certified staff. So when you start to average, unlike a lot of the other functions where you're trying to figure out what the average salaries are, this is a bunch of people. And so Mike and I both noticed these movements of, okay, if you have 120 odd and 120 odd, and we have, this is what it cost us before, this is what it's going to cost us in the future, in the proposed, and my goodness, why is the average salary jump up 7.5%? And that's led to a lot of misunderstandings. We know that nobody under the contract is getting 6 or 7.5% unless they've done something extraordinary with graduate work, but that wouldn't move the whole group like that. So I've had a suspicion, I think we all have, that there isn't a match between the FTEs reported and the dollars reported to support those FTEs. Therefore, if you want to go backwards from a proposed cut of X dollars means a proposed cut of FTEs, and let's all be outraged, I'm prepared to do that if, in fact, there's a link. I want to make sure we're not barking up the wrong tree. So it's a long-winded way of saying, should I be concerned that a $150,000 or $128,000 proposed cut really means a reduction in FTEs? So I understand. When you're proposing 127 total, and again, there's a mismatch between this and the FTEs reported earlier under I think the yellow tab. Not the yellow
Green.
tab.
Green.
The green. I'm sorry. Yeah, yellow, green. It's all lemon lime. I still don't comprehend that one. And like I said, I'll be happy to go down the path, but I'm not ready yet to say this is an outrage when we're really taking the dollars and working backwards toward a cut in FTEs. Is it in fact a cut in the FTE number? Because if it isn't, it's basically what we suspect, that there's a mismatch, and the $128,000 represents, if you will, fat in the original proposed number. Never mind how we got here and all of that. Then I don't have a problem with it on that basis.
All right. I don't know, it's getting late.
Yeah.
If you want to just call the night and come back
I'm
tomorrow.
not prepared to vote.
No, and they can't vote
You
here.
can't, it's all remote tomorrow.
And you're not here.
I'm not
So,
here tomorrow.
I mean, who's going to run the meeting?
Adrian.
Maybe the vice chair.
Vice Chair.
So why, I see two pictures here. I see the picture where we can stop with where you left off, and that's a 7.52, $94 million, $599. Or for those who want to vote for all of the things that I've recommended, that's a 6.98. So see how the vote goes.
I don't want to vote on that basis.
That's a, no,
No, Mayor.
False choice.
false choice.
There's nothing false about it. It's true.
We have an existential.
system set up.
You had a turn. I want to turn now.
I'm sorry.
We have an existential problem with the academic performance of our students. Now, I see a cut, if you really believe that we can do without aides for $150,000 or $120,000, I want to find an opportunity in that. That would mean we could hire 4 more tutors and get people into the class to help the kids, because academic achievement and outcomes are what I'm looking at. Sure, I'd rather have a 2% budget, but I'm not going to let the tail wag the dog. Our goal is getting people in the classroom to teach the kids, and if we don't need the 2 teachers, that frees up money for something else that we can do.
I agree with that. So if that's what you want, then why don't you vote for the larger number, and you know you're getting everything that you want in the budget, and then we'll stand and we'll deliver to the town council and the RTM. I'm fine with that, because certainly I want more for our kids. I don't want less.
Yeah, that's
I
why
was
she's
just
saying
trying
you
to
vote
work.
one or the other.
I was working.
Point of order.
Wait, never mind, Mike, I'm going to Jay. Jay,
Well, it's point of order.
what?
We've been progressing line by line through this. Now we're presented with a platonic either-or choice. So why aren't we going through the way we have been?
I was just saying, Mike. that-
I didn't say it, Joyce. That's Susan talking.
Yeah, that's just.
I didn't say
That's why
that.
it's point of ordering.
Oh, okay. I'm ready to go and see how the board feels about each line. But let me go
I'd
to
like
Jay.
to, oh, actually, hold on. I'd like to know how many FTEs are in, with this -2 reduction, are in 1101, because in the superintendent's budget, it says 127.0. So if we subtract off 2, is it 125, or are you saying it's some other number?
No, I'm saying we didn't take the we didn't take the money out. We took the FTEs out, Mike, because we were really nervous about the enrollment in the elementary. So we didn't take it
So what's
away at that point.
What's the number of FTEs that we'd be having in elementary in this scenario with the -2?
It's what the book says. It's
No,
already,
that says
we've
120.
already taken the positions out of first grade, but we haven't taken the money for the positions out.
The FTE should be like 23.
Then why was it left in there?
Wait, that's not it. Certified teachers.
So what is
It's
the
not 23.
FTEs that we?
It's 127. It looks like for pre-K to 5.
But is that what we're sticking with, or not?
But we didn't vote on it yet, so.
No, I want to know, like, that -2 reduction, does that take it to 125?
No.
Or is it still 127, like
I don't
Dean
know
sort
how
of
I
said?
can make it any clearer.
Right.
When we took
Well-
the FTE reduction, because we did the enrollment study, and we looked at the class sizes, we took the FTE, but we didn't take away the actual money to fund the position, because we know in Groton that things can change, and we were being very conservative. But looking again at it, we thought we could because of the first grade situation.
So what's the FTE, though? What's the FTE for
It's
that?
the same as what you had in the beginning.
Can you
Still
actually?
127. The
127.
FTEs didn't change, Mike.
Oh,
Still
so it's 127?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one more than adopted last year. So there's no reduction, because last year is 126. So there's no reduction because of enrollment, none. There's an addition of 1. So if we vote on this stuff and it comes out that we have 125 actual next year in our FTEs, then that budget was not what we were talking about here. There has been no reduction. There's been an addition in our adopted and what's actual now by 1 FTE. That gets us from 126 to 127. If we're sticking with the 127, as you say, there's been no reduction. I don't know how much simpler I can make it.
Nope, you can't make it any simpler. Jay?
Yeah, I don't want to take up everybody's time repeating everything that Ian and Adrian and Matthew and Dean said, and Mike, of course. I am not going to vote for cutting. So I'm hoping we're going to go on these lines one by one, as we have in past meetings, and come to a number that we believe will support the students, whatever that number is. I never set an artificial number that this is what we had to hit. I always said, as I believe just about every other member of the board has said, we are going to hit the number that supports the students. However, I draw your attention, and I have a question for Ray. So we cut substitute teachers, as we know, and right now when I look at line or account 120, here at the end of February, we're already trending a deficit of 154,000 in the sub account. After our, I think it was our $900,000 cut last year. And to support that, we were proposing a $216,800 increase in that account. But in the current year, even that proposed increase has almost been eaten up. So I certainly, unless I'm misreading this, I wouldn't want to cut that proposal any further.
You want to go line by line with all the things that we didn't agree on, that we take a vote and see if we can, where we stand on it?
Can I just say something before we go off?
No. let's do this first and then go back to what you were going to say. Let's get this
Yeah,
over.
this is,
It's probably pertinent to
All
what
right,
we're
go
talking about.
on the FTE enrollment forecast that Mike was talking about, we have, in Thames River, 4th and 5th grade, we're projecting 23 kids in a classroom. For 4th and 5th grade, that's the average for the school. There's not one elementary school with less than, there is a 17 average, 2 17s. But we have, those classrooms are full. And on that sheet of this enrollment forecast, it says that we need 108 FTEs for classroom teachers. And I only see 104 on function 1101. So I'm a little bit confused with that. I guess I'd like to, if we think these enrollment numbers are right, it seems like there might be a big variation between what we need, 108, because I don't see how you can get rid of any of these classrooms based on the enrollment, and 104 that's proposed. So it's on page 8 and 9 in the first section of the budget book that has the enrollment forecasts. And I would propose that those classrooms where we have 23 children, Thames River, we know we have the most needs there. It seems like an elementary teacher in each of those could drop those class sizes down, and we could actually teach those kids some reading and math.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that we were looking for areas.
But we didn't tell you to look for areas. I mean, it seemed like we had a meeting.
I was told
Yeah.
to look, and to work
Always
with my,
looks for areas to
and
cut.
work with
And
my
she comes-
staff.
and the
Yes, I
superintendent
was
comes back to
asked.
the board
Yep.
with suggestions.
Right.
Don't
They're
forget,
just
she runs
suggestions.
the school district.
They're just
So she always,
suggestions.
the superintendent always comes back with suggestions.
Yeah, we did. We asked for those, and we got
You
them
just said
on
we did.
we got them on Thursday's meeting.
But then
And now we
talked
have
some
another
more about
half.
other areas, and I was asked to go back. and
So are
look
these-
some more? That's my job.
So are
You don't
these
have to
enrollment
agree with
numbers?
it,
Are
Adrian.
these enrollment numbers correct?
Yes.
Then it says we need 108 elementary teachers.
You know what, I suggest, let's take a break.
Thank you.
Let's take a break, because it's getting out of hand. Let's adjourn, and you all can come back tomorrow and figure it out. All
Motion
right,
to
motion to adjourn?
Motion, I said it, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Do.
Yay, yay.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I oppose, for the record, I oppose.
Oh, thank you.
Man, that was
You said
painful.
what you said.
It's getting out of hand.